gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddham dhammam sangham saranam gacchami. So, dear community, welcome. Very grateful and humbled to have this opportunity to share the Dhamma together. Today we are going to look at some more of the Buddhist teachings from Master Sungyun from Cloud and Water. Really beautiful and direct teachings, and I read through some of them before our event today, and we'll actually do two this time. Which will be really nourishing, I'm sure. We will start together by just finding a few moments to arrive and to really be here with ourselves, and through being here with our own heart and our own breathing and our own body, our own mind, arriving in the community space as well, being here together as a sangha, being here together as a community of practice, and a community that is concerned with generosity, concerned with being good and doing good deeds, a community that is concerned with and values mindfulness in each breath, in each moment, and a community that is concerned with the great wisdom, great insight that we find in the Buddhist teachings, leading us to certainly an awareness of suffering, but in that awareness, an understanding of suffering, and a compassion for our suffering that leads us to walk the path. So I invite everyone to find a comfortable position to be in. And it is really important that we find a position that is enjoyable to be in. This helps us to know that we are in a safe and nourishing environment, and that our presence being here is not about gritting our teeth to meditate, or forcing ourselves to listen to this talk, but that this action of being here right now is a gift that we offer to ourselves and that we offer to the community as well. So finding that comfortable position, beginning to notice our body, beginning to notice through our breathing, the mind and the body becoming one, just taking or giving a few moments to be in this space of presence, gentleness, and arriving, coming home together. Because we often may not give so much attention to our breathing, when we start to meditate or we come into a space like this, it may be helpful to really breathe deeply and feel the joy of breathing, feel the joy of nourishing our heart and our body and mind with the breath. Breathing deeply, aware, breathing deeply, calming and settling and opening to everything that life is right now. So we will begin now with our reading and Dhamma teachings. It is not the ordinary woman who can bury their head in the snowy ridge, willing to give up the body for the Dharma. It is only after bone-chilling cold that one can become a queen of the Dharma. When Bodhidharma, the founder of Zen, came from India to the East, he practiced seclusion at Shaolin Temple. The second patriarch, Huiko, went to him to ask about the Dharma. During a long night of heavy snow, Huiko stood outside Bodhidharma's meditation hall waiting. The snow piled up to his knees, but Huiko did not budge, pleading Bodhidharma for his teachings. Finally, Bodhidharma opened his eyes and asked, "What do you want, standing here for so long?" "Please, Master, help me settle my mind." Bodhidharma said, "Give me your mind, I will settle it for you." "But I cannot find my mind." Bodhidharma said, "I have already settled your mind for you completely." Once Huiko discovered his deluded mind, it became settled. So it is the story and the teaching of the Zen or Chan tradition in Buddhism that at one point the Buddha was sitting with his senior monks and he held up a flower and looked around. And one monk, Mahakashyapa, smiled. And with this, the Chan teaching, the Zen teaching, was transmitted. From the Buddha to Mahakashyapa, this transmission of mind-to-mind, direct experience, came down to the Indian monk known as Bodhidharma. And at one point his teacher told him to travel to China and try to teach. So upon Bodhidharma arriving in China, he sat in a cave for more than 7 years facing the wall. And at one point, Huiko, who was a seeker, someone who wanted to know about the truth, and someone who wanted to pacify their mind, to free their mind, came up to Bodhidharma. And he stood outside that cave waiting, waiting and waiting. The snow piled up to his knees, but Huiko did not budge, pleading Bodhidharma for his teachings. Finally, Bodhidharma opened his eyes and asked, "What do you want, standing here for so long?" Huiko said, "Please, Master, help me settle my mind." Bodhidharma said, "Give me your mind, I will settle it for you." And Huiko responded, "But I cannot find my mind." Bodhidharma said, "I have already settled your mind for you completely." Once Huiko discovered his deluded mind, it became settled. So what is it? What is this teaching, that this mind that we want to settle, this mind that we want to heal, this mind that we want to become peaceful and enlightened? That the answer but I cannot find my mind has an answer to. What is that which cannot be found? What is that which cannot be held onto or grasped? When Huiko said, "But I cannot find my mind," Bodhidharma said, "I have already settled your mind for you completely." Not finding is a settled mind. Once Huiko discovered his deluded mind, his grasping mind, it became settled. That is why it is said, "It is not the ordinary woman who can bury her head in the snowy ridge, willing to give up the body for the Dharma." Standing in the snow, pleading for the Dharma, Huiko cut off his arm to make an offering. He was willing to give up his body for the Dharma, and eventually he attained the way. Another master, Fa Yuan, came from the south. This is another case, not Bodhidharma. Master Fa Yuan came from the south of China. He traveled all the way to the north in search of the true Dharma. On a cold winter night, he sat in the monastery's reception hall, waiting to be admitted. No one paid him any heed from morning till night. The cold wind was fierce, and his companions left him, one by one, until he was all alone. The reception master then came out and scolded him. "It is so late now, why don't you just go?" And saying so, he threw a basin of cold water onto Fa Yuan. Master Fa Yuan calmly and with dignity said, "Esteemed one, I have come from thousands of miles to learn the way. Do you think you can chase me away with a basin of water?" Master Fa Yuan was brave in his search of the Dharma. He tolerated all sorts of insults. Later, after he was finally admitted to the temple, he took some oil to cook noodles for the assembly of monks. The supervision master accused him of stealing temple's property to curry favor, and expelled him from the temple several times. Fa Yuan did not give up. He begged for alms outside to repay his debt to the temple. Eventually he was readmitted and was able to settle down. The depth of his practice was recognized by the temple, and he was transmitted the Dharma. It is only after bone-chilling cold that one can become a queen of the Dharma. Huiko and Fa Yuan went through many hardships, which helped them to become the great masters they became. Without the test of the chilling cold, the plum blossom will not bloom. Without the heat of the hot summer, the lotus will not open. The most direct message about this teaching is twofold. One, that if we wish to attain the way, if we wish to experience enlightenment or true freedom, true entry into the path, like the Buddha, like the great masters and teachers of old, we must be ready to endure great hardship. We must be ready to endure great difficulty, great suffering. We must not turn back at the first sign of adversity or confusion, or things not being exactly the way we would like them to be. Now, the other direct teaching here is the mind in which we must approach the Dharma, the mind in which we must approach the Buddha and the Sangha. It is not enough to want to taste something sweet. It is not enough to be generally interested in the teachings. It is not enough to think that the Dhamma teacher or master has a cool appearance and an interesting mind. Hueco was ready to stand in the snow until it piled up to his ears. And not only that, but he was ready to sacrifice his body to receive teachings, to receive guidance from Bodhidharma. And we must also approach in this kind of way, although we don't need to bury ourselves in snow, and we don't need to necessarily sit outside of a temple that throws cold water on us. We do need to generate a mind that is serious about learning and growing on the path, and is not confusing learning and growing on the path with someone wearing robes giving us colorful sweets and telling us nice stories, or meeting our expectations or serving us. We have to be ready to sacrifice our body and mind. And we do so in a gentle and open-hearted and compassionate way, but this mind must be there to sacrifice, to endure. That sometimes our teacher may throw a little bit of water on us. Sometimes the Buddha may not act in the way that we want them to act. This is not what becoming a spiritual seeker is about. So generating this mind of sacrifice, generating this mind of the great wish to know, to understand, to be free, and being willing to endure in that aspiration, and with that aspiration, not losing it easily. So we'll move on to the next reading, which is concerned with the precepts. The precepts are the best medicine for the sickness of delusion. We have to guard against myriad forms of suffering with as much vigilance as if we were protecting our own parents. Eradicate delusions and ignite the light of wisdom. To cross the bridge of life and death, use the Bodhi raft to cross the limitless ocean of karma. The precepts are the best medicine for the sickness of delusion. We have to guard against the myriad forms of suffering with as much vigilance as if we were protecting our own parents. Eradicate delusions and ignite the light of wisdom to cross the bridge of life and death. Use the Bodhi raft to cross the limitless ocean of karma. The precepts are the best medicine for the sickness of delusion. A country needs a system to establish itself. Abiding by the spirit of the law is most important. Buddhism emphasizes the practice of upholding the precepts. It is important to understand the spirit of the precepts, which one can always take to a deeper level. Apart from taking refuge in the triple gem, which is the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha, which is the historical Shakyamuni Buddha, and also our Buddha nature, which is the Buddha's teachings, and also all phenomena which help us to wake up. The Sangha, which is the community of ordained monastics, and also those who have found the truth of the deathless. And we can say as well, the community of well-minded practitioners. Apart from taking refuge in the triple gem, Buddhists strive to uphold the 5 precepts, which are undertaking to abstain from killing, undertaking to abstain from stealing, undertaking to abstain from sexual misconduct, undertaking to abstain from false speech, and undertaking to abstain from taking intoxicants. If someone is able to uphold the 5 precepts, they will greatly nurture their life of wisdom, which leads to enlightenment. If a family can uphold the 5 precepts, they can find happiness living together. If a community or country can uphold the 5 precepts, then everyone will become kind and saintly. We have to guard against the myriad forms of suffering with as much vigilance as if we were protecting our own parents. If we were all able to refrain from careless killing, we would be respecting others' right to life. Not stealing means not transgressing on others' right to property. Abstaining from sexual misconduct means not to wrong our or others' physical bodies, good names, or reputation through our sexuality. No false speech means not harming the honor and trust of both self and others. Through not taking intoxicants, we protect our health so that our wisdom can remain alert. When we refrain from deluding and intoxicating ourselves, we can see the sublime in life. Regardless of whether you are a Buddhist or not, everyone in this world can gain from observing the 5 precepts. If you want to live a long and healthy life, you should not only abstain from killing living beings, but also you should protect life or even liberate trapped animals. If you want to be wealthy, you should not only steal and transgress on others' property, but you should also donate and give joyously. If you abstain from sexual misconduct, not only you, but your partner and family will also gain respect by your actions. If you abstain from false speech and harming others verbally, others too will not harm your reputation and trust. If you avoid intoxication, naturally you will enjoy good health and alertness. All this world's suffering and chaos come from people not abiding by the laws or upholding the 5 precepts. In society, people are arrested and jailed mostly because they have violated the 5 precepts. If you wish to gain freedom, to eradicate delusion, to ignite the bright light of wisdom, if you wish to gain liberation from life and death, to ride the Bodhi boat and cross the limitless ocean of karma, then you will see that abiding by the 5 precepts is fundamental to human morality. If you want to develop wisdom, then you need to know about and emphasize and prioritize the 5 precepts. There is a big issue in Western Buddhism and Western spirituality as well, where we are approaching spirituality and we are approaching the path and we are approaching healing and the development of wisdom and compassion primarily through meditation. And actually you can see that there are almost some kinds of meditation cults that come up, where the primary teaching that they are giving people is meditate, 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 meditate. But this is not Buddhism, and it is certainly not Chan or Zen. We have to learn to start from where we are, and that is a human being that makes mistakes, that is sometimes stuck in their desire and lost in their fear. And so the solution to that, not only for ourselves, but also in the society, is not to force ourselves to meditate as much as we can. The solution to that is to prioritize our virtue, to prioritize following the 5 precepts, to prioritize being a good person, doing good deeds, and developing a relationship in our own life with generosity. This is the teaching of Buddha, and it is strange how it can become misconstrued and only focused on meditation. Meditation is a part of the path, but it is just a part, it is not the whole path. How we will get benefit and make real progress in our spiritual life is by being consistent. Unless we can be consistent, even if we go to some intense and serious meditation retreat, even if we stay there for a month or a year, something like that, it won't matter. We will get blessings, we will get some benefit, we may even get some special power or experience from that intensive meditation, but we need to find a way to bring the Dhamma into our life as a whole. So even if you are a monk, even if you live at a meditation center, it is not realistic to be sitting down and meditating all the time. And in fact, it can become quite stressful when you put your spiritual life and your healing life, your Buddhist life, into this tiny little box that is meditation. So through prioritizing to be a good person, but we have to be careful about that because it can be less than practical, less than clear. Through prioritizing to do actions of generosity, through prioritizing to do good deeds, and yes, through prioritizing to be mindful in our everyday life, we can develop a consistent way of showing up to life that brings joy and reduces suffering in ourselves and in others. And yes, as it said here in this writing, it is important to understand the spirit of the precepts, not law and regulation, not authority from the Buddha or something like that. It is important to understand the spirit of the precepts, which one can always take to a deeper level. So one of the insights of Thich Nhat Hanh was that real sila is mindfulness, smriti. And so if we can be mindful in our daily life, if we can be mindful all the time, then we will be following precept naturally. We will be living a virtuous life naturally. But if we look at our background, if we look at our life up to now and our culture up to now, we may find that being a virtuous person or being a good person, or certainly being mindful all the time, or having a relationship with generosity and doing actions of generosity, this may not be very strong in our cultural ancestry. I know, at least for me growing up, I didn't really know about these things. So it means we have to accept the level that we are at. It means we need to be practical about how we approach the path. It's not about being perfect, but it means that rather than the idea of generosity, rather than the idea of doing good deeds, rather than the idea of precepts as mindfulness, we practice to do actions of generosity more and more. We practice to do actions of doing good deeds more and more. We practice to emphasize and remember following the precepts as they are written more and more. Not to kill, not to steal, to be very careful about our sexual energy, not to speak in a false way, not to speak in a way that harms others or brings suffering to others in any way, not to take intoxicants anymore, not to drink alcohol, not to smoke weed. And in this way, not only ourselves, but our community and our country and our family will benefit. Our joy will flourish, our peace will flourish, and our wisdom will develop naturally, slowly, not in a hurry. Because if we approach this, spirituality or Buddhism by reading all of these books that have talked about jhanas and special levels of meditation and all this kind of stuff, it just becomes a way for you to exercise desire. Only now you don't want material success, you want spiritual success. You don't want material pleasure, you want spiritual pleasure. And this is not correct. It will just lead to more and more cycling, more and more cycling. And even if you do develop samadhi, even if you do develop a deeper state of experience, you will miss out on the insight because you are attached to every little experience that you have spiritually. This is why dana and sila, for most all of us, and even for people who have a lot of wisdom, are more important than just focusing on trying to have these special meditation experiences, or focusing on reading these books and texts that talk about, this jhana, that jhana, this special mind, that special mind, seeing in that way, seeing in this way. Because the reality is, you are more likely to convince yourself that you are at a higher level or that you've had a special experience rather than actually have a special experience or be at a higher level. And of course, this is just a way of communication, right? The highest level is no level at all, no discrimination. But we need to watch the mind, how we approach this. And why is it more likely to convince ourselves of something like this? Because it's easier. It's what we're used to. We're used to convincing ourselves of things. We're not used to learning how to let go of ourselves. Final reading for our gathering today. May our bodies be continually perfumed by the fragrance of the precepts. May we always be dressed in the robes of samadhi. Then the wondrous flowers of Bodhi will perpetually surround us, and peace and joy shall be with us wherever we find ourselves. And Bodhi means awakening. Bodhi means enlightenment. May our bodies be continually perfumed by the fragrance of the precepts. May we always be dressed in the robes of samadhi. When the wondrous flowers of Bodhi, then the wondrous flowers of Bodhi will perpetually surround us, and peace and joy shall be with us wherever we find ourselves. May our bodies be continually perfumed by the fragrance of the precepts. If we use the fragrance of the precepts to beautify our bodies, our behavior will be in accord with morality. See no evil, say no evil, hear no evil, and commit no evil. So that is not only about what we do or what we say or what we think, but it's about protecting our mind, protecting our senses. See no evil, say no evil, hear no evil, and commit no evil. One must abstain from killing living creatures, taking what is not given, sexual misconduct, false speech, and from taking intoxicants. Instead, one should free captured animals, give with joy, treat people with respect and decorum, praise others, and nurture the body and mind. In Buddhism, the 5 precepts, the 8 precepts, the 10 precepts, and the Bodhisattva precepts are all methods for beautifying and purifying the body and mind. The Bodhisattva precepts are as follows. Creations are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless. I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. May we always be dressed in the robes of samadhi. This sentence encourages us to practice meditation and attain samadhi. The attainment of samadhi can naturally sublimate our personality and ethics. Sublimate here means to heal, to bring together, to transform in the wise way, our personality and ethics. And this is a really important point to understand in Buddhism, and I will say it because I think it's really sad how I've seen some traditions or some groups not say this. Buddhism is here to cure mental illness. Buddhism can cure mental illness. That is precisely what Buddhism is about. It is said that the Buddha was the greatest doctor, and I can promise you that he was very skillful to deal with all kinds of mental illness. So if we are someone who has dealt with mental illness and has approached psychiatry and therapy and Western psychology and things like that, and has not had the degree of success that they would like to have, I really bring to you the truth that Buddhism may be able to help. And not Buddhism in terms of some kind of book that's presented to you, but Buddhism in terms of the living, breathing Sangha, the community of well-minded practitioners, the community of monks and nuns, the community of those who have known for themselves the truth that the Buddha knew. So please have hope. May we always be dressed in the robes of samadhi. This sentence encourages us to practice meditation and attain samadhi, and samadhi is this absorption into our true nature, this absorption into the natural mind, this absorption into the heart of freedom in each and every moment. The attainment of samadhi can naturally sublimate our personality and ethics, so that when we go into this absorption state, or when we go into this state of effortless consistency of mindfulness, a lot of healing takes place, a lot of deep transformation of self-grasping takes place. And this can fundamentally heal and change for the better our personality and ethics. In the past, there were many old monks living in the monasteries. They spent several decades living in the meditation hall. Their nature was as lofty as the Mount of Everest. They gradually attained this through the practice of Chan. Then the wondrous flowers of Bodhi will perpetually surround us. Along with the precepts and samadhi, we must also develop Bodhi wisdom, the wisdom of awakening, the wisdom of direct experiencing, the wisdom of beginning again, the wisdom of the unborn mind. The flower of prajna, so the flower of diamond wisdom, is able to sublimate our being so that it may become one with truth. In this way, we may become true practitioners. The wisdom of Bodhi comes from initiative, precept, concentration, serving others, and our own cultivation. All of these require initiative. With initiative, all things could be done well. Take, for example, eating with initiative. When we eat with initiative, the meal will taste particularly satisfying. When we sleep with initiative, our sleep will be sweet and deep. In our affairs, if we do not have initiative, we will be lacking in responsibility and we will not be respecting our jobs. We will also not be able to fully enjoy the company of others. So this word initiative here, it's very much about that inspiration, that bodhicitta, that inspiration to awaken, and then also that awakening can be found in all of our activities, that all of our activities and each moment of our life can be a meaningful life, an inspired life, a heart life. And so when we bring this initiative, when we bring this depth of heart to anything, it will become more joyous, it will become more rich, it will become more transformative. So we must use precept, concentration, and wisdom to beautify our body and mind. And peace and joy shall be with us wherever we find ourselves. By living simply anywhere we go, we could be carefree all the time. In this way, we could settle into the practice of precept, meditation, and wisdom. Then we would truly be able to enjoy the peace and happiness of Dharma joy. So, dear Sangha, thank you all so much for listening to these 3 wisdom readings. We're now going to take some time to do some personal stretching. And then in about 5 minutes, we will come back and we will open up the space for question and answer on the topic of our readings today. Okay, so about 5 minutes or so personal stretching, and then we'll come back.
Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham.
Okay, dear community, hopefully you enjoy some stretching and feeling comfortable. We'll now open up the gathering for Q&A on the 3 topics we looked at today. The topic of precepts, samadhi, and wisdom. The topic of specifically precepts, the 5 precepts, and the topic of the mind that we must hold to truly approach the Dhamma. And that is the mind of a willingness to endure, and also a kind of heart of someone who is hungry and doesn't have food. The heart of someone who is thirsty and doesn't know where the water is. And when we are beginners in the spiritual path, and we should all aspire to have a relationship with the beginner's mind, but especially when we are someone who has not spent much time in Buddhist community, has not spent much time in meditation, and has not developed their relationship much with generosity and following precepts, it is very important to understand that we are like someone who is thirsty and doesn't know where to get water, and that the well-minded practitioners, the monks and nuns, the ordained sangha, and also some people who they may not be monastics, they may not even be Buddhist, but they have had a great depth of experience, and more often than not, they have had that great depth of experience because they have devoted their life to a way of being willing to sacrifice their body and mind to heal and to know the truth. They've attended meditation retreats, they've prioritized to follow precepts, and they have been deeply, deeply informed by the wisdom of the great teachers of our era and past eras. And that mindset, or seeing oneself as someone who is very thirsty and does not know where the water is, that is the right mindset in which to approach a Dhamma teacher, a monk, someone we trust on the path, so that we can get some support. And in reaching out for that help and support, it's not really about having a conversation or forming an interpersonal relationship. It's really about doing what you're told, taking what is offered. That is the powerful way to move forward. Okay, and in our community and in a lot of my online work with adults, with people who are kind of, taking responsibility for their own lives and have been for a while, it is that, if someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I want to learn more about the Dhamma, I want to get into this kind of thing, and then I send them a Dhamma talk, or I share our monklife.one website, it is the necessary to take the medicine and then come back. And then say, hey, I have more questions, or hey, I tried this. I'm trying to work with this. Can you give me guidance further? And in that way, we are in a spiritual relationship, because I am also on that path. And the teachers that we may encounter are also on that path. They are looking to spiritual masters and senior monks and nuns and teachers, and they are listening to their Dhamma talks and listening to their instructions. They are seeking support from the community, and they are putting into practice what they receive. So it's not really a matter of higher or lower, or, why do I have to be the student? Why can't I be the master? It's nothing to do with like that. The great master is a great student. Okay, so let's open up the space for question and answers. And if you're on YouTube, you can write your question down. And if you're here in the, it's kind of like a Zoom meeting, but it's our Discord group. So it's an app that we use that's really nice for having these meetings. So if you're on the Discord, you can ask a question with your voice. And we'll see if we have anything that comes up. And at these times and in these moments, we have the opportunity to practice deep listening. So don't be antsy about, oh, I don't have a question. No one's asking a question. The deep listening is taking place, and it's a great practice for all of us.
I really like the part where you read, "Give me your mind, I will settle them for you." I was wondering, is that settling of the mind by giving it to somebody else? It's like, wasn't it a response that would mean only you can settle your mind because you have them?
So let's go back and take a look, dear Kara. Hueco went to this master, and the master was sitting facing a wall in very deep meditation, very serious meditation. And Hueco kind of called out and said, "Hey, in there, I want you to teach me." The master didn't move, didn't respond. So Hueco stood outside of that cave until the snow piled up to his knees. Finally, Bodhidharma, the master, opened his eyes and said, What do you want standing here so long? What are you doing? And Hueco said, "Please, master, settle my mind." So then Bodhidharma said, "Give me your mind and I will settle it for you. Give me your mind, show me your mind, and I will fix the problem." This is the insight. This is the answer that came from Hueco. But I cannot find my mind. Bodhidharma said, "There, I have already settled your mind for you completely." So Kara, you may want to almost use as a mantra, "But I cannot find my mind." And really you can use this as a koan. You can use this as a case to kind of investigate and meditate with and really look to, right? And I will send it to you. I'll write down the case right here in Discord. Yeah.
It reminded me of that mantra, realize how ridiculous you are. In a way.
Well, that's always good. When we realize how ridiculous we are very humble and we don't take ourselves too seriously. And that means that we are gentle and open to trying new things. And we're especially gentle and open to listening, and practicing. The moment we think, "Oh, I've got it all figured out, I'm so wonderful how I've figured all this out, it's amazing." Well, then how can you grow? How can you develop? How can you learn? How can anyone support you? Right? Okay, thank you, Kara. And I put I'll tag you, but I put it in the events text channel on Discord. All right? And the way that we use a koan like that is we kind of print it out or we get it in front of us. And then with our meditation mind, we investigate that koan. We investigate that case. It's not a matter that we're like thinking about it and we're trying to figure out and, that we're talking to ourselves, but we repeatedly like look deeply into it, not using our intellectual mind, but using our heart, our presence, our looking, our curiosity. And we just kind of bring it over again and again, and then we may get some insight from that. Something may come up. There may be a spark of seeing through or deeper understanding. Okay, and if you do work with it, you can come back and you can tell me what you've understood. All right? Okay. Anyone else have some question? Okay, so we have someone here about, on Facebook actually, named Kefir Heyman, and they say they suffer from IBD. Any advice? They say, I'm suffering from mental and physical illness. They say, I have ulcerative colitis. They say, I lost hope. They say, what can I do to treat IBD? First and foremost, we can stop and be grateful. This is really something very important. You know, your life is a disaster. Your mind is a disaster. Your relationships are a disaster. This is normal. You know, a lot of people go through this. And what we often miss when we're in that state of like, oh my gosh, everything is a disaster, we miss out on the blessings that we have. We miss out on the peace that we have. Because I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who are going through like a life of disaster, and they don't have the blessing to come across the Dhamma. They don't have the blessing to come and talk to a monk or be, you know, steps away from joining a community of well-minded practitioners that are supporting each other on the path. So you've got a lot of blessings, and you may find that even though there is a lot of pain, even though there is a lot of suffering, even though there is a lot of difficulty in your life, there is also a lot of opportunities for joy. There's a lot of opportunities for gratefulness. There's a lot of opportunities for peace. You know, and we can look at it in different ways, but a good one is, when you breathe, is it painful? If it's not, then that is already a source of joy. That is already a source of healing. How about, can you see? That is an amazing source of joy. That is an amazing kaleidoscope of life that is not owed to us, is not guaranteed to us. You know, a lot of people lose their sight. A lot of people breathe and feel great pain. Can you walk? Can you hear? All these direct experiences that are, you know, that we take for granted, but they're really profound. You know, they're really special. And if we can start to value the seeing itself rather than what we see, there may be a lot more peace in our lives, a lot more healing and transformation. And I'll tell you very certainly and very authoritatively, if you can start to stop feeding negativity in your mind, your body will heal. If you can stop whining about your life, your body will heal. If you can stop taking the pill of negativity and the pill of circling, you will heal. But what that takes is humbleness. What that takes is to realize that just because you don't have joy doesn't mean that others don't have joy in the simple things in life or right now. And if I have joy, then I can share that joy with you. If I have peace, then I can share that peace with you. If I have freedom, then I can share that freedom with you. But we have to be open enough and humble enough to let go of our self-importance about our negativity. So I wish you the best of luck, dear Kafir Heyman, and you're very welcome to be a part of our community. And I'm happy to share with you some very high-level resources for dealing with suffering and pain and cultivating joy. So, feel welcome to send me a message. And anyone, my inbox is always open. I'm here to be accessible. And if there's a serious situation or case, materially or spiritually, please reach out to me and I'll do everything that I can to support you and help you. I am in the position that I'm in right now because people support me financially and materially. And that way of support and communication and helping is not lost on me. So when I say thank you to everyone who supports me, what goes along with it is the invitation for me to support you in whatever may be going on in your life. And that's not about someone in particular who supports me materially or financially, but that's about anyone who is a part of our Sangha and a part of our community and wants to walk the path that I'm here to help. But you've got to be in a position to listen and to practice, because otherwise, it doesn't matter what I do, I can't help you. And that's why Bodhidharma didn't open his eyes when Hui Ko first called out to him, because Bodhidharma already knows that a lot of people like to talk. A lot of people like to have an idea of helping themselves, but very few people are willing to listen and to try. That doesn't mean that I won't try to help you, but it does mean that you have to be open to trying before you can be certain about it not working. Okay? Thank you, Kafir. Namaste. You're very welcome, and I'm happy that you shared what you shared. It took a lot of bravery to do that. Supriya, do you have a question? Would you like to share something?
I'm so sorry for interrupting. All I wanted to ask was if you could share that resource with everyone. I think everyone can benefit from it.
Well, this is that resource. This is that Sangha. This is that Buddha Dhamma Sangha field. And so for those who are seriously looking for those resources, we have a website that's set up that's quite a convenient name. It's monklife.one, monklife.one. And on that website, we have recommended teachers, we have book recommendations, we have recommendations for Dhamma talks, so guided meditations from some of the best teachers in the world, some of the most enlightened people in the world. And if you're serious about getting help, please go to our website, look at the resources that we have, and I think you'll be, if you can try, if you can put it into practice, I think you'll be very surprised about the health and wealth that you can bring into your life very quickly. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Bhante.
And Keith Alte, very generously asking the question, hello, I was wondering how I can donate to you. If you go to the website, monklife.one, there is a donate button, and there are a few different options, few different ways to donate. And if none of that works out, you can just send me a message and we'll figure out how to do it. Okay? Thank you.
I have another question.
Okay.
In your previous talks, you talked about the work that needs to be done on the facility you are currently in, like the heating, the window isolation. Was any of that done yet, or is there more work to do?
No, it's going to take quite a bit of time. And, we raised about $1,000 for that work. But we have to wait and see because this building is uh, under the umbrella of a nonprofit agency here in Italy, and the Italian government has a program for renovating buildings that are under nonprofits. So it's very possible that whatever donations we make will be met, like matched by the Italian government, but we haven't fully got total ownership yet of the property. There's one more payment left. I think it's about something like $40,000. We're still negotiating with the group. But yeah, it was a project that I'm quite inspired about, and looking for the long term for our community and making sure that we have like a Western center that's very suitable for us. But with anything, it will take time and attention more than anything else. It takes time and attention more than it does money.
Thank you.
Hello, Bhante.
Like our Facebook friend, I have something kind of similar from the point of view of I am feeling stuck because I can't provide, financially the people that I want, to help, and the people, around me. That makes me, feel like kind of unavailable as an individual, in Western, you know. But as I hear you reveal or say the principles of Buddhism, I just, see myself to have a desire which kind of makes me think that my mind, it's not to go in the right way, if you can understand what I mean.
Yeah, there's a little bit there that will create some difficulty. So the teaching in Buddhism is not to build temples. It is not to develop some kind of particular project in a particular way. That's not what generosity is about. Generosity is about doing actions of generosity. It has nothing to do with big or small or anything like that. We'll be really stressed out if we approach it that way. Because I'll be going to India in July or August, and I'll tell you right now, when I go to India and Bodh Gaya, there will be hundreds and hundreds of children on the street, and also people with disabilities on the street that are, holding out their hands to receive support. So if you go there with that mindset, I'm going to fix these people, I'm going to solve this thing, I'm really going to save these people, that is not the correct mindset. And you will be very, very stressed out. And you will also be very confused. So we do actions of generosity in whatever way we can, as small as it may seem, as big as it may seem. The point is that your heart and mind are there, and that you are taking something that's valuable to you, something that's precious to you, which, of course, what is most precious to you is your mind and body. So, for example, I have, I don't know where my bag is, but I keep in my bag a selection of like miniature little toys, miniature little icons. You know, they're kind of cute, kawaii, little tiny, sweet images, cute images. And so when I will see the children, more so in like the Asian country or in India, Vietnam, because it's different in Europe, you know, just handing out, and in America as well, just handing out little gifts to children is not going to work out very well, or it get denied a lot. So actually, those little items, you know, are quite interesting and precious to me. I do value them. I value them because I can use them to express my generosity. But the more important point there is that when offering that gift to that child, right? I bring my body and mind and my attention and my heart and all of that there together and give that offering, right? And so then there's that little time of total connection, total giving, total receiving, and then the freedom from giving and receiving, just that experiencing, just that heart, just that offering. And that is the spirit of generosity. And we need to be careful because the ego or the like self-fixated idea of being generous doesn't just go to the positive side. Like, oh, how generous I am, you know, this is great, you know, look at me. But it also goes to the negative side where now we are wrapped up in our ego and it's preventing us from doing those small little actions of helping out. You can clean your room as an action of generosity. You can clean your toilet as an action of generosity. You know, this is not just generosity, but it's doing good deeds. And we need to be careful that we don't allow this like intellectual thinking, self-fixated mind. And it's not to say that that's evil or bad, but it's just the qualities of that mind to interfere with our work of doing good deeds. You know, and in that way, we don't waste our time and we don't waste our energy unnecessarily. And it will take time for us to develop that. But when you are in that space of awareness and presence, don't just focus on yourself, don't just focus on thinking, but try to find good deeds to do. Start doing good deeds, cleaning, taking care, calling your grandmother, you know, going for a walk, listening to a Dhamma talk. All of this stuff goes together. All of this goes together. All right?
Okay, Bhante.
Don't,
So much.
you're welcome. Just, you know, don't let the mind get the best of you. Let doing good deeds get the best of you. Let kindness get the best of you. Let listening to Dhamma talks get the best of you. Okay?
Can you send me also the Dhamma with the guy that, sorry, I cannot remember his name, that he goes to the master and he was sitting outside of his cave.
Okay, you got it. In the events text, I tagged you there.
Thank you, Bhante.
You're welcome. Oh, okay. So any other questions or interesting points? One thing to watch out for, I don't know if I mentioned it recently in the group, but something to really be careful about is this mind of scarcity. Watch out for that mind of scarcity because it's really going to put you in a stressful position where you don't feel much comfortable to do good deeds and you don't feel very comfortable to be generous, especially to yourself. Okay? Now, if we're someone who isn't really touching the Dhamma and these notions of the practice, then, being generous to yourself, they may think it's talking about, buying a Lamborghini or drinking wine excessively or what have you, right? But this generosity towards oneself is a real taking care in a wholesome way, to be generous, to be patient, to be loving with yourself, even though you're imperfect. That when you're sitting there and you're doing your work and you feel tired, that you're generous enough to go and lay down and give the body a rest and relax, to pump the brakes, to step back a little bit. But when we have this mind of scarcity, it makes us do things out of fear. And it makes us live in such a way where we aren't actually applying our wisdom. We aren't actually applying our, okay, Lisa, you go, be happy. Namo Ayirafat. Okay. We're more in a state of reaction, right? And in a state of tension. So know that you already have everything that you need. You already have everything that can sustain you and benefit you and bring happiness into your life right now. And that it's not your responsibility to save the world. It's your responsibility to be in such a way that your presence is saving the world. That you are healing. That's what the world needs. And if we take further steps, if our situation becomes bigger, if we get more and more responsibility, then yeah, we do need to transition our mindset. We need to look at how much water we're using. We need to look at what kind of food we're bringing into the table. We need to look at making sure we're using renewable energy resources, using solar and all those kinds of things. But if you take on for yourself this kind of binded mind of, having less than you need, how are you going to give more than you can? How are you going to go beyond needing? How are you going to go into sacrifice? Right? So we go step by step and we take care of ourselves. We hold a mind of generosity. We beautify our mind and our heart and our life by following the precepts, by doing good deeds, by being mindful, by listening to Dhamma talks, so that the wisdom that is already inside of ourselves becomes more clear, becomes more available, becomes more transparent. No hurry, no rush, but we continue on the path. Okay, let's leave it there for today. And of course, tomorrow we'll meet together at the same time, which is 7 p.m. Italy time. In the next week or so, we will have some special guests. So we will have two American Buddhist monks who will probably do a Zoom meeting because it's more accessible for them. I think they're more familiar with that. And one is a Mexican-American Buddhist monk, Sanata Vihari, I've met, who's a very lovely and wise monk. And the other is a friend of our Sangha, Brother Diamond or Brother Nalaka, who's an African-American Buddhist monk. And we'll kind of give them a space to introduce themselves and maybe share some Dhamma that they're inspired by right now, and then go into some Q&A with the community. So that should be a really wonderful event. And that will also be around this time. Should be on the coming Monday and the coming Friday. So mark your calendars. All right. So let's finish, dear Sangha, with the dedication of the merit. We listen to the Buddha's teachings. We practice mindfulness. And we make a lot of merit that way. We make a lot of good effects and benefits in our heart, in our life. And we don't just keep that for ourselves, but we offer it for all beings. We share out those merits, and we hope and we pray that those merits will be received, that those merits will be recognized, that those merits will be rejoiced in, so that they also can have the blessings to transform their life like we have and like we are. Okay? So I invite everyone in the Discord to unmute their microphones and can repeat after me. May all the merits that we have done till now
May all
All the
the
merits that we have done till
we
now
be doing till now
and
be dedicated and shared out with all beings.
be
be
dedicated
be
dedicated
dedicated and
and
shared out with all beings.
all beings.
May all beings see, hear, and experience our merits.
May all beings
May all beings see, hear, and experience our merits.
Amen.
May all beings rejoice and share in our merits.
may all
May all
May all
beings rejoice
and share in our merits.
and share in our merits.
In our merits.
May it be.
May it be.
may it be,
May it be.
may it
May it truly, truly be.
May it
be sure
May it truly
be.
And we'll finish with the 3 sadhus all together. So you can take a deep breath and we'll see who can do the longest sadhu, because it's really expression of joy as well. You know, it's not, it's a happiness, it's a celebration, it's a recognition and a hope for it to continue more and more. So we can all take a deep breath and do 3 sadhus together. We can all make a deep bow to each other, the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Okay, thank you all so much for being here with me, and look forward to practicing together with you again tomorrow. Take care.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Bhante.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
And one last reminder for our dear friends on YouTube. It is very helpful for our community events to be shared out with the kind of on like the YouTube algorithm if you leave a like. So please do consider to do that, and maybe we will have more people come across the Buddha's teachings and join our community. Thank you.